Hey everyone, and welcome back to Dallas Cowboys coverage after the Cowboys win a thriller against the Seattle Seahawks. A little bit of a later video this time, so I apologize for that. Just been super busy lately, but I'm gonna break it all down as well as give a little preview for the huge Cowboys Eagles upcoming game. So I'm just gonna get right into it. Dak Prescott, man, he's been incredible. Seriously, this was a game that was not the best, I would say, all around in terms of just you were behind. It wasn't the cleanest, it wasn't the perfect game. There were penalties. It was, at times it was a bit frustrating, but in the end, Dak said, "Here we go," and rallied the troops and won this game. I think he played incredibly all the way through, even when it was looking shaky, even when it was looking like, we're behind. He made that fourth quarter comeback, and I'm not saying it's just him by any means, but his leadership, his composure, he kept his team focused and steady throughout the whole game. So, just the way he was playing, even when we were behind, I just never felt like we were going to lose that game, and we didn't. So, incredible performance by him. You know, he's gotten so much hate over, really his career, but, especially after last season, the interceptions, all of that, and what he's done over the last, particularly month, 2 months, but really the whole season, it's been incredible. I mean, he's inserted himself into the MVP race. Absolutely, he's one of the front runners at this point. It's incredible, and I think if any Cowboys or Dak hater would have, seen this coming, they would probably be having a fit. So, you know, what can you say now? Beat a winning record team finally, and obviously you have a tough schedule coming up. So, depending on how Dak and this team plays, it's going to say a lot about really the entire team as a whole going down this very difficult December stretch. So, this was a great start. Obviously, still work to do, but Dak Prescott, he's been incredible. I've said it, there's no one I'd rather lead this team, and what he's done, not only with leadership, but on the field, just performing has been absolutely incredible. He's, I think, getting to that point where he's just been consistent. He's really getting it done every day, week in, week out. So, you just love to see it, obviously. So the offense really was pretty solid, not the best, I think, in terms of running game. Obviously, Pollard has looked better, made some great plays. That juke was incredible. Still, obviously wanting to get the yards up a little bit, but, he's getting better, starting to kind of get back on track. CeeDee Lamb had a good, very good game, over 100 yards again, touchdown. Can't be too disappointed about that. Did have a few drops, just got to clean those things up. But overall, solid game from him. Jake Ferguson played well. Brandin Cooks played well. Michael Gallup, unfortunately, did not play well. We've talked about him time and time again, and just unfortunately, came away no catches, no yards. It's just we've been seeing that far too often from someone who's being paid as a number two, receiver at least. For some teams, he'd be kind of a number one based on payroll. It's been disappointing, unfortunately. Obviously, you chose him over Amari Cooper, and that hurts me to this day. But unfortunately, Michael Gallup has just not been the same since that ACL injury. I think you could, we could talk about that for a while, but the fact of the matter is he just has not been what he was. And unless he can get back to that form, it's been disappointing. So, obviously, still hoping he can, bounce back, maybe make an impact, but unfortunately, he just has not been the case so far this season. In terms of the offensive line, they went 3 straight games without allowing a sack. Unfortunately, it was not the case against Seattle. It's a solid defense for sure, but overall, I just can't say enough about what at least on the left side of the line has done this season. Tyron Smith and Tyler Smith, the two T. Smiths, have just been holding down that left side of the line. They've been so good this year. The right side, unfortunately, has been a little shakier. Terrence Steele has struggled for sure. Has played better as of late, but still work to do as he continues to return from that ACL injury. Zack Martin, set to be a Pro Bowler as usual, has not probably been his strongest season, just compared to the greatness of Zack Martin. But I think it's important to remember that his down year is pretty much anyone else's career year. I mean, he's just been that good over his career. So he's been better, of course, as of late. Had some struggles early in the season, but overall, this offensive line has really gotten a lot better. And finally, they're healthy, and I think that's really made a big difference. Onto the defense, unfortunately, was really not the best game out of them. Allowed quite a bit of points, didn't really just make the impact they usually do. I think luckily the offense was able to pick up the slack and got the job done anyway. But still, you want to see a little bit more. I think from the defense. Deron Bland, as much praise as we've been giving him, really did have a rough first half. Bounced back with the interception, nearly had a second one that just bounced off his fingertips. So he just kind of, for the first time this year, maybe not the first time, but really at least the biggest time, just struggled in coverage. Kind of looked like what a lot of people will say 2021 Trayvon Diggs was. Gets the interception but gives up all the yards. So he's really, I think that hasn't been the case for him this year. He's been one of the best coverage corners in the league. So unfortunately, happened to be on national TV, and I'm sure he's going to get hate for that. But I trust in him. I believe in him, and I think he will bounce back. We saw it in the second half. I think we'll see it in this next game. So Deron Bland, not the best game, but I'm not going to stress over it. So, but overall as a defense, I think as a unit is just got to find that consistency. I think they've blown out teams when it comes to the weaker opponents, the bad quarterbacks. You got a stronger team against Seattle. Obviously, a great receiving core with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Najigba, and you felt it. It's bound to happen. But I think defensively, if the consistency can just continue to, kind of get on track, I think you're going to be in a lot better shape. Obviously, it's been a great defense, and when they're at their best, they're a championship level defense without a doubt. But we have seen games like this where the defense has struggled against greater competition. So obviously, you're going to be facing some of the most prolific offenses in the entire league with the Eagles, with the Bills, with the Dolphins, with the Lions even. So the defense, it's got to be ready. It's going to be tested without a doubt, and we'll see how they perform. So you have a lot of talent. You just, I think, need some cleaning up, just finding that consistency. Unfortunately, you did miss out on Darius Leonard. I think that would have been a pretty nice boost to the defense. Not the worst loss in the world. It just hurts a little bit that he went to the Eagles. Unfortunately, just another case where I think the Eagles are just more aggressive. They go out, they make it happen. As soon as I saw Cowboys and Eagles for Darius Leonard, as much as I hoped he would come to Dallas, I knew he was going to go to Philadelphia, because that's just kind of how it goes when it comes to signing players. The Cowboys, they're passive. They do due diligence, but unfortunately, it usually doesn't happen. With the Eagles, it's the opposite. They somehow sign everyone. So frustrating, for sure. I'm not going to act like it's the end of the world, because, you haven't had them all year, but would have been a nice boost, for sure. So unfortunately, that didn't work out, but the Cowboys defense, they have the talent, they have the players to get the job done, and I trust Dan Quinn to just continue to get the unit focused, under control, and, just more consistent. So special teams, pretty good, pretty solid as usual. Good games, all around, not really much to say there. So, it was an exciting game for sure. Obviously, I think it was really the first close game that you ended up on top this year. All your wins have pretty much been blowouts. So I don't mind the blowouts, I'll be honest, but it was, of course, fun to see an exciting game. I trusted this team, and they got the job done in the end. So shout out all around. Shout out to the coaching, the players. This was a close game. You're going to face these kind of games, and I think you're going to be facing them a lot over this next month. Winning these close games matters. The Seahawks aren't the best team in the league, but hey, they got a winning record, so we can say we beat a winning team. I think there's more challenges ahead, but I think this is a really good start. I think, as CeeDee Lamb mentioned in his pregame interview, this would be a good start to get this win, and they got that win. I wasn't the prettiest win in the world. There were penalties. It was annoying at times, but you got the job done. And I think that's something that can't be understated. These type of games where it's ugly, you got to grind it out. Maybe you just win at the last moment. Hey, a win's a win. So they played well. I think they can play even better, and I hope they will. So obviously, you have a huge opponent coming up with the Philadelphia Eagles. If you get that win in Philadelphia after they lost to the 49ers, you're now tied with them for first place. It's still, unfortunately, a long shot to end up winning the division, just because you have a tough schedule coming up. The Eagles really don't. They kind of already got through the tough portion of their schedule, and they hold the tiebreaker as far as I know. Even if we split wins, I think they'll have a better record in the NFC East. And then, of course, against, I was going to say common opponents, but then again, we'll see how that all works out considering they also lost to the 49ers. But as far as the odds, I don't think they're great. But to me, that's something you don't worry about right now. You worry about getting the win and just getting the tie. Obviously, we can't control the rest of our schedule. We can't control what the Eagles do down the stretch. But we know in this league, especially in December, anything can happen. So to me, I don't want to worry about that. I don't want to worry about any of the potential later on issues. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Right now, beat the Eagles. You're at home. I think you're now 13-0 in your last home games. Get the win, tie this division. We'll worry about tiebreakers. We'll worry about all that later. If you can go get that win, be tied with the Eagles, at least record-wise, that's just huge. That's huge for this team's not only playoff positioning, but just your confidence. All this talk about not being a team with a winning record. If you beat 2 in a row, including the best team in the league record-wise, that's a huge boost. So obviously, you got work to do. There's a whole tough schedule coming up. But if you can get a win against Philadelphia at home, man, that'd be nice. So obviously, no really injuries to speak of. You're going into that game healthy. There's no excuses this time around. There's none of that. It's just you against a good team and a very hated team at that. So come on, guys, get it done. Beat Philadelphia. There's not much else to it. Just I believe in this team. We'll see if they can go get the job done. So predict the score for me. What do you think the Cowboys-Eagles game will be? Obviously, Sunday Night Football. I will see you guys again after that to break that game down. But for now, predict the score. Hopefully you predict the Cowboys. I do believe they win this game. The Cowboys throughout at least, recent history, do not get swept by divisional opponents. I don't think it's happened since the Giants in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. It was a tough first game against Philly. You weren't nearly the team you were right now, especially offensively at that point in the season. There's been so much growth. There's been so much improvement. You're at home where you have been just dominant. I think the Cowboys get this win. I'm going to say 31-28, just early prediction. I'm not going off of a whole lot, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be decently high scoring, but I think the defense is going to be important for sure against obviously a tough Eagles team. So it's going to be a close one, but I do think the Cowboys come out on top. So drop your score predictions, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe, of course. Always helps me out. So thanks again for watching. I will see you guys next time, and go Cowboys.